It's April 4, 2025. Documentation is everything. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. Hope everybody's doing well. I've calmed down a little bit from my county road, county creek rant, but we're going to continue on some aspect of it because I'm going to read some comments that I received about those videos. Before I do, please remember to hit the thumbs up. It does help if you listen to the first 30 seconds of the sponsored video. I mean, most people are not able to donate, but if you can bear to listen to some of the sponsored videos, it does help us get a couple of dollars per click. So anyway, this is an email that I received, and I do have permission to read it. So here we go. You're correct. Document everything, as I've been doing for years now. Long road for me added frustration when they have stolen 3 of my notebooks, broken into my van many times, took the plate numbers I've written down, got into phone remotely and physically deleted photos and wiped my data clean. The cops refused to take fingerprints when I called. Know that Kentucky is bad. Here is its finest. Here it's a nest of vipers. Kentucky is a nest of vipers. It's gotten to the point, it's not who's involved, it's more like who's not involved. The FBI DOJ has triangulated me, spies next door, with 2 houses across the street on both sides, all being ex-military. It's a very well organized criminal gang that has tentacles branching out to adjacent counties. I drive 30 miles away. They've got people waiting there to screw with me. And like my friends say, but you're not just that interesting. It's gotten to the point it's my battle. Likened to some really bad movie that nobody cares to watch. Yes, I understand what you're getting to. There are powers in numbers along with documentation. Only the whole system is corrupt from top to bottom. America's civilian spy network funded by our government to attack dissidents, whistleblowers, or people of interest, or whomever they care to sick their dogs on. It's justifiable. Their $40 million budget to finance criminal groups against law-abiding American citizens. It's becoming another industrial complex. I've documented plenty. They're so sneaky on how they operate. I'd be happy if World War III broke out. It would be the end of them. Or hopefully, they'll all be jabby-wabbied and they'll all drop off one by one. Spend those gift cards on hard drugs. Overdose, maybe. It gets old real quick. Days upon days of pure nonsense. So that was a quick testimony by a gentleman. I don't know the age, don't know the location. It's even a fake name. He even told me this is not my real name. I'm not going to give my real name, but I just wanted to give that out there. That Kentucky is bad. Here is a nest of vipers. It's gotten to the point, it's not who's involved, it's more likely who's not involved. And I've had people contact me on Quora that tell me flat out, get out of Kentucky. Save your life. Get out of Kentucky. Not that targeting doesn't follow you, but everybody's saying it's bad here. So now let's get on to some of the comments. So on my video, Judge Gabbard's incompetence, County Creek negligence diverted onto my land. So now this individual says, you're so wonderful. Love to hear you rant. Well, I'm going to tell you a quick story, okay? When my daughter was in university, back in New Jersey, I believe it was her last year of school. She was an A student. she was getting some scholarships and some funding and stuff. Well, the school, a very well-known school, decided they were just going to cut funding and instead give it to people that had 2.0 averages instead of 4.0. And my daughter went on and on about how they were giving out money to all these students that don't show up at classes. They have really poor, very poor scores. They were denying, the gifted children money to complete their education. Well, I went ballistic. So I called the school, and I many times. And at first they tell me there's nothing they can do about it. So I'm like simmering, and I call back. And I get this plan going on. And I went off on the head who was administering the money and stuff. And I went nutso. I don't even remember everything that I said, but it definitely had to do with publicizing the whole thing. And that they cannot do this without telling people in advance that they're cutting funding in the last year of their schooling. So it was a lot worse than that. So I get off the phone and stuff, and my daughter's like kind of smiling. She's not one of these smiler girls, She's got a pretty stone face. And she says, I love when you turn into a bitch. Like, I'm nice all the time, right? I'm so nice and sweet. Yeah, my neighbors don't think so, but I'm a nice, good person. So my daughter just loves it when I turn into a bitch, and she just gets so excited that when I turn into a bitch. So yeah, thank you so much for saying I'm wonderful that you love to hear me rant. It takes a long time for me to get up there, I have a really long fuse. It's based upon my astrology. I've got a long fuse. But when I reach the end of my fuse, you're going to hear stuff come out of my mouth that you never thought was even inside of me. So there you go. So yeah, from the words of Babes, yes, I love to hear you turn into a bitch. So now the other comment here is, come to think of it, you're correct. If a waterway is artificially shallowed, meaning the low depth, and or narrowed or both, this would create the flooding on your land as documented. And I'm going to tell you, thank you so much, con artist, for saying that, because that is exactly what happened, and it is well documented, because I even called the Kentucky Department of Waterways here, who was here and documented. I showed them what was done, and he told me what needed to be done. And all of that information was given to Judgy Pudgy, who did nothing. The only thing he did was put a slop job mess of concrete, and not even around the entire perimeter. And what that concrete did, concrete is not like rock. Rock will sift water through it. That's why it purifies water, right? When water runs through rock and gravel and stone, it becomes purified. All of the debris and stuff gets trapped within it. When you pour concrete, and I watched it today, that concrete was a shovel. It was like a man-made shovel shoveling that water directly pointed at my property with force. There was no sifting of water through the stone or the gravel. It acted as a shovel to push water onto my property. And underneath that mess, it's already cracking. And I already told the judge last year when it was done, I can foresee that concrete cracking and flowing down the county creek and lodging itself somewhere to cause a problem on my property. Judge Gabbard, you better fix it this summer. You are not going to cause my property to lowball the price. And you are not going to prevent any sale on this property. And I have already documented that all the gravel and the silt and the stone lifted up the water bed right before that large culvert, at least a foot. I showed it to the Kentucky Department of Water. He told me what needed to be done. He said it needs to be moved, and he showed me where. And they did nothing but pour concrete there. And not even around the whole place. And wait till I show you photos of after, because the water level has significantly decreased. There is no water flowing over the county road anymore. And I will be taking photos to show you. Now, mind you, that concrete is not even a year old. It's not even a year old. And it's already damaged. That's right. So yeah, Judge Gabbard, Ross Murray, Sheriff, keep funneling money to your paid informants to wreck my property and try to set me up with stupid garbage like throwing garbage and poopy diapers on my property. You know, there are laws here in Kentucky against littering. Why aren't you prosecuting these criminals? There are laws against dogs at large. Why aren't you prosecuting these crimes? There are trespassing laws, property vandalism laws. Why are you not prosecuting these crimes? Go along to get alongs. You violate your oath of office. My constitutional rights. And yet don't tell me I don't have any. Put it in writing. If I have no constitutional rights, let's go into court for due process. I want some due process. I want to know why you haven't investigated who dumped skinned animals in my mailbox, which is a felony. Why? Why not? So now another person says here, as the water recedes, as it will, despite the present overreach, it's going to leave squelchy marshland, which will be challenging to mow. Yet another aspect of damage. You're absolutely right. I've already picked up a lot of debris that was dumped from inside the county creek, of which I have no responsibility for the county creek. The county creek and the county road, of which they are both called, are the responsible. Maintenance is the responsibility of the county. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, well, there's an easement when there's none. And for 6 years, you've been saying there's an easement and there's been none. Can't have it both ways, criminals. So anyway, I'm going to end on that note. And yes, so some people think they love it when I turn into a bitch and rant. I don't like it. But these criminals, you are not going to get away with sabotaging my property, harassment. And I will use your names, because they're already recorded when I took your asses to court. No problemo, Mary Perky. Oh, and I guess I'm thinking, though, that she's not saying a word to me because she probably doesn't have her contract anymore. You want to know why? Yeah. Just go look at what happened to her when she fell in the ditch and ended up in the county jail, driving under the influence. And these are the kinds of people that have harassing senior citizens just trying to live their lives on their property. They like to set up people like this guy. James Holmes. Let's talk about it for a minute. Let's talk about it for just a minute. Do you remember James Holmes? James Holmes was a former neuroscience PhD student who became widely known for committing the 2012 mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado. He was considered intellectually gifted. He graduated with honors from the University of California, Riverside in 2010 with a bachelor's degree in neuroscience. He was enrolled in a highly competitive PhD neuroscience program at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. But he withdrew in 2012 after reportedly struggling academically and socially. You want to know why? He was targeted. And I don't care what anybody says. I know nobody wants to talk about James Holmes. He didn't do what he did because it's part of his personality. He was a Manchurian candidate. He was described as quiet, introverted, a little socially awkward by peers and professors. Some people around him started to notice signs of, quote-unquote, mental health issues, including withdrawal and strange behavior leading up to the shooting. Do you want to know what that strange behavior was? He started to hear weird voices. Voice to skull. Technology. He was being set up. Why? Because he was intellectually gifted in a neuroscience program, and somebody got their little knickers in a knot and decided, you know what? We don't want to compete with this brilliant, young, upcoming neuroscience PhD student. We're going to target him instead. He opened fire at midnight screaming at the Dark Knight Rises in Aurora, Colorado movie theater. He unfortunately killed 12 people and injured 70 others, making it the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history at the time. He was arrested at the scene without resistance, heavily armed, wearing tactical gear. Now, where have you heard this before? Where have you heard this before? They claim he was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, a serious mental illness that includes schizophrenia and mood disorder. He had seen mental health professionals prior to the shooting, and he reportedly discussed homicidal thoughts with at least one university psychiatrist. Shame on you, university psychiatrists, for violating HIPAA law. And the legal outcome? In 2015, after a lengthy trial, he was found guilty on all counts. The jury rejected the insanity defense. Okay, well, you can't have it both ways. He either has a disorder or he's not. And Holmes was sentenced to 12 life term plus 3,318 years without the possibility of parole. The case sparked debates around gun control, mental health services, red flag warnings, and whether or not the university should have done more or intervened or reported his deteriorating mental health. He was gang stalked. He was tormented. He was targeted. Oh, and then some people have speculated or theorized that Holmes may have been involved in a mind control or MK Ultra style operation. These ideas come from a sudden psychological collapse. The fact that he was a neuroscience PhD with potential access to sensitive information. His dazed appearance during his first court appearance, which was thought indicated he was drugged or dissociated. Okay, so let me just find another one of his pictures here. Let me just show you the picture here. 1 second. I don't want to get a copyright here. Are you all guys getting these paleo commercials. Oh my goodness gracious. It's just getting
He
ridiculous.
waited for the opening show of Batman: The Dark Knight Rises.
It was
adults
Batman.
And children alike were dressed head to toe.
1 second. I really just want to get a picture of him. 1 second. Now, here he is as a child. Looks really normal to me. Does he look normal to you? Looks quite normal to me. And here he is. Okay, now let's keep going. Let me just get to the good picture, the mugshot. Okay. Here's a picture of him like in university. Just a regular kind of guy. And let me see. I want to get the picture of him where he looks like he is crazed. 1 second. I just don't want to get a copyright with looking at other people's content here. Here he is in court. They have him shackled at the ankles. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. All right, 1 second. I want to get that one picture. Here, this is the one. And we all know that they love to drug people up. They love to drug people. And here he is in court. Doesn't know what the hell's going on. Compliments of targeting. He went from this to this to this. Compliments of our government. They love to take down those PhDs, right? That's never happened before. Like they never did it with the Princeton professor, you know, beautiful mind. John Nash. Do you have any idea what they did to John Nash? I really want to do a separate video on that because I've done some research. I really want to do a whole thing about Professor John Nash, the inventor of game theory, hyper game theory, and what they did to that man is a crime. Everybody thinks like, oh, it's a beautiful mind. Oh, he had schizophrenia. He did not have schizophrenia. He was a targeted individual. They set him up with gang stalking techniques. Disgusting. But anyway, I'm off my rant here. Thank you, everybody, all you subscribers, for commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. It really helps me. I'm going to sign off now. Hopefully, I'm going to get another video out later. Judge Gabbard's incompetence. And I left a picture of my 100-year-old barn that I don't have anymore. Because the culvert, the county culvert, was pointed at my barn. And it flooded multiple times. The contents of which would end up down the county road. So thank you all for listening. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there.